Hello, I'm Neil. This is my crazy guitar setup. I'm going to go through this in detail in a minute, simply because some people have asked me, how do I do all my wiring? Well, the truth is, my wiring's rather insane. And there's a few guitars. But as you can see, we're following her around. Yeah, I have the big tall thing, along with the sub and the Bose and the crazy in the back mess of wires, which comes with a Bose. Anyway, hi, I'm Neil. I'm doing a selfie right now. Feel silly, but this is the explanation of what I've got going on for my pedal board. Okay. My electric guitar comes in and goes to my OC3. The sub out for my OC3 goes to my slow engine, which then goes to the drum machine, which goes back to the Bose. More on that later. The guitar output from the OC3 goes to the PS6, which then goes to the MXR Dyna Comp, which goes around to the PW10, and then comes back to the PW3, which goes to the DN2. Okay, now we go to the line selector right here, and the electric guitar comes out and goes into selection B. This is where my acoustic guitars come in. Okay, and they go to line selection A. And then everything goes to the volume control, so that way I can control the noise off the electric side when there's noise. And everything is sublet to the tuner, so I can hopefully be in tune. And then to the EH2, which is considered to be the most non-guitar pedal effects pedal. I like it because I trim it well and it makes a good sound. MXR Phase 100, MXR Stereo Chorus, up to the SL20 slicer, which is kind of fun really. It's a tremolo on steroids, to the digital delay, to the RV5, and then I follow all my crazy wires over here to the back of the Bose. For reference, the red wire is always my guitar output wire. The blue wire is always my drum machine output wire. As you can see, they each have their own channel, because when you come over here, it's kind of hard to discern, but I'm using what they call the insert, which they probably set in there for vocal reverb and stuff, but I'm using it as an effects loop, so that way I can bring my drum machine and my guitar sounds out to my loop station and then send it back to the Bose so that I have everything in my looper. That way I can do duets with myself or layer chord patterns and whatnot. And that is the crazy wiring of my setup. It's kind of fun, isn't it? It's a little weird. Now, for some of you guys who are really cool guitarists and only use guitar amps, and your effects pedals are generally true bypass. Okay, I use Bose pedals with the buffers because I run very long cables. All right, long cables and true bypass don't mix. Longer the cable, the higher the capacitance, the faster the tone roll off on your cables. Buffers balance that out. And that's why I use all the buffered pedals. That, and I really kind of like the Bose pedals. You know, it's like Josh at JHS said it, and I quote, "Bose is best." This video says so, but anyway, that's why I use buffered pedals. And the non-buffered pedals like the Dyna Comp, Phase 100, and the Stereo Chorus, they're old school pedals for me that I grew up with as a kid and when I was first playing. Okay, there are some issues with my setup, and this is what we're going to go into next. So now we're going to go in with what's wrong with my setup. Okay, let's start with the pedals, and then we're going to go on to other parts. Down here on my board, you'll see that I have a Dyna Comp, which is unbuffered, and it goes into the PW10, which goes into the PW3, and then the distortion. Okay, the problem with that setup is the fact that when I step on the Dyna Comp, and since I use my Dyna Comp for a booster and not a compressor, it adds a lot of noise, especially after I turn on my PW3 wah pedal. It doesn't affect the PW10. I use that in a univibe setting because I kind of like that. It's kind of my always on for my electric guitar because it adds a little thickness to my sound. But when I put on my wah pedal, which is set to Prestige, with the Dyna Comp on, as you put the pedal down and you go to the higher frequencies on the pedal, it gets kind of noisy if you're not careful. And you can especially hear it when you're done playing and you haven't hit the volume pedal. It goes at you. So that's why I have a volume pedal in there. All right. So that's the first problem with my setup. Here's my next problem, and I'm going to be running between two parts of the room here, and you're probably going to get dizzy. Maybe I'll stop in between. It's my power supplies, okay? Here's the first step. As you can see, I have unfiltered power supplies running into everything. These three are for my drum machine, my AD2, and the other one is, I'm not real sure. Oh, it's my EH2. There we go. It's my EH2. And also, here's the other part of my electrical problem is I have a power supply, an 18-volt feed for my Stereo Chorus. I have a 9-volt feed for my slicer, and I have the two feeds for the actual pedal board cables themselves. And here's the rest of the problems. Okay, I'm using daisy chain on most of my pedals, which is not a good thing. It does tend to add a little noise. I've gotten lucky so far because I don't play quite so loud, but it does add noise when I turn things up and I'm doing things rather loudly and clearly. And to be honest with you, I would love to be able to get a power supply with isolation on each channel for as many pedals as I have, but you know, that's big bucks, and I was buying this over time, so I wasn't able to think about that. Also, I'd really love to have one pedal board with an isolated power supply and put all these pedals on the same board instead of having them spread out by 4 feet. So anyway, that is my pedal setup. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a nuisance, but I have fun. I don't gig out anymore hardly. So when I do go out and gig, I take one Bose system with me. Yes, I have two. The other one's for sale. I take one Bose with me. I go play and I come home. It takes me about an hour to set all this up. It takes me about an hour to break down. That includes unloading it from the car. So, all right, thanks. I'm Neil. I hope you enjoyed this. If you got some ins with some people for isolated power supplies, really cool pedal boards that'll fit all this stuff, I'd really like to hear from them or hear from you. Leave me comments. Be nice. I'm not wealthy. I'm going to give you a quick loop simulation. I doubt it's going to be perfect, so let's see what happens. And if you look down at my feet, I'm barefoot. I'm standing on a woven wool carpet. You want to talk about something that creates some noise, especially when you wear a pair of nylon shoes with it. It is auto-static magic, let me tell you. So I'm turning stuff off that I don't need. stuff on that I want to use. And I'm going to use my old Epiphone, which is out of tune. This is why we have a tuner on the floor. This. That's something I'm working on. It's called Brought Me to Tears. It's not the whole thing yet. So, cool. That's what my setup sounds like, folks. Thanks.